Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Matty here from Chill TCG. So today we got a super fun video. We're going to be taking a look at a sort of a newer version, or an improved version of this sort of Aurora Welder V box that it never really had a particular name. But it was a video that I made actually months and months ago. It was almost the exact same deck that won the Chill Series #3 way back in the day. Of course, big shout out to Marco Cifuentes, one of the original people to create this list, to perfect it, and to really see success with it. At the time, it didn't really take off. I always thought that it was a really cool list, a really fun list. Of course, it had its downsides, but you know what? I thought that it was a much better list than people gave it credit for. Nowadays, it's actually even better. We have a few cards that weren't released at the time of that previous recording. I believe back then it might have been either Rebel Clash format or Darkness Ablaze. We do have some cards from some sets that we did not have at the time, and most importantly, we have the new Ditto V and Ditto VMAX as well. These cards were almost entirely made for this deck, and it makes the deck so much more viable, so much more playable, and I don't think that this is technically a video that people are going to be, a video that other people are going to be making, or really a deck that's going to be in the forefront of sort of all of the news and in the cycle here of Shining Fates coming out. But you know what? We're going to get right into it. This is an absolutely incredibly fun deck list, and it's actually very clever, and again, just honestly pretty playable these days, in my opinion. Of course, that's just my opinion. Of course, though, big shout out to Marco Cifuentes. He was like one of the first people I know that showed me a list similar to this, and that's kind of really what the basis of this deck is on. We're going to get right into it, and really just explain the core idea of it. Now, this is a Welder deck, right? We all know that Welder is a very powerful card. It's a very useful card, very good draw engine and whatnot. So, of course, we're running Welder, and I'll explain the reason for that in a minute. But on top of Welder, we're running Aurora Energy. This counts as all types of energy in the game when you attach it to a Pokemon, but you have to discard a card from your hand. We don't really mind that. That's not that big of a setback. Now, if you'll notice, we are running a wide variety of V Pokemon, but of a bunch of different types, and we use them because they have very good attacks that have primarily colorless energy in their attack cost. We're going to go through each of them individually and kind of give the reasons why they're in the deck. But just for an example, let's take a look at Milotic, who has two really good attacks here with only one water energy and its attack cost. The rest of them are colorless energies. So, for instance, we can just attach an Aurora to Milotic, Welder 2 on, and then we can go ahead and use that attack in one turn. So very good, right? It's very playable. You might not think, like, why are you running a water card in a Welder deck? It's actually not bad at all. So that's kind of the idea. That's why we have so many different types of Pokemon in the deck, and they're all different actual typings. Like, we have, a fighting type Pokemon, we have a fire type, we've got electric type, we have water type. This is because, they have specific weaknesses, or they hit for specific weaknesses. And that's really the idea mainly behind the deck, because no matter what you're going up against, this deck will have Pokemon and have attacks that are going to be hitting for super effective. So yes, some of these attacks, might not technically be very good at all, all the time. But the thing is, like, if you're going against a fire-type Pokemon like Centiskorch, Milotic, that first attack is one-shotting Centiskorch. You can set it up in one turn with Welder and Aurora Energy, so that's why it's in the deck. If we take a look at something like, for instance, like Ryperior, or even probably a better example, Sirfetch'd V. Yeah, that attack's pretty good. Meteor Smash 200. It's not KOing a lot of stuff, but you know what? It is one-hit KOing Eternatus VMAX. That's why it's in the deck. And that's kind of the idea behind things like this. So, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna describe all of these cards here. Just right now, we're gonna get right into it. First of all, though, we need to cover the new card that came out in the set, Shining Fates. Well, both of these, Ditto V as well as Ditto VMAX. Now, Ditto V is really kind of the star of the show here. It's the reason why this deck, in my opinion, has become more playable. It's got the ability V Transformation. Once during your turn, you may choose a basic V Pokemon from your discard pile, switch it with this Pokemon, and any attached cards, damage counter, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon. So technically, you're really just able to switch out Ditto V on your bench with, one of these V Pokemon that's in your discard pile. And this is important, right? This is important to realize because, in a strategy such as this, where we're running pretty much one card of different typings for a variety of different matchups. Now, with Ditto, whatever matchup we might be playing, say we're playing against Centiskorch, technically we're not running one Milotic V, we're running 3 because we have 2 Dittos. but this translates to whatever matchup that we're playing, right? So if we're playing E-turn, we technically have 3 Galarian Sirfetch'd, or 2 Galarian Sirfetch'd and 2 Ryperiors, right? So it's that's really the idea behind Ditto. It gives the deck much more flexibility, and that was always the downfall with a deck like this, because yeah, you had potential, but once one of your good Pokemon in that matchup got knocked out, you really had to rely on some sort of subpar attackers to try to get you through the game. Now that's not the case. We have Ditto, so no matter what Pokemon is good in the matchup, we have at least 3 copies of it in our deck. It's absolutely ridiculous, absolutely busted. It does have the attack stick on. So for 1 colorless, you attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. This is actually a pretty good attack, mainly going second on your first turn if you know you don't really have any other option. But for the most part, we're not using this attack. We're just transforming and then attacking. And Ditto V is one of these things where we can kind of keep it on our bench for a little bit until something does get KO'd. Because again, they're not really going to choose to KO Ditto if, let's, for instance, say you're playing Eternatus and you have a Sirfetch'd in the active spot. They're not going to boss up Ditto and KO it, right? They're going to go ahead and try to KO this Sirfetch'd because that's what the threat is. However, this is just going to turn immediately into Sirfetch'd after they KO Sirfetch'd, right? So you're kind of putting it in a position where they're not going to boss up the Ditto. It's not beneficial for them, but it's beneficial for us 100%. Next up, we have Ditto VMAX. Now, Ditto VMAX, of course, can't transform into other Pokemon, but it does have 320 HP, retreat cost of 3, so not super ideal, but it is weak to fighting, no resistance. But the attack is actually super, super cool. So max transform, 3 colorless energy, just a welder, and an attachment away. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks and use it as this attack. Now, this might sound kind of busted, but the thing is, and you might be wondering, does this work with like GX attacks? It does, but the thing with tag team Pokemon, a lot of times where it'll have an initial effect, and it'll say, if this card has this much extra energy attached to it of this typing, then the second effect implies. And this is kind of, for an example, like ADP, the tag team Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, you can use its GX attack, right? You don't even need, you just need to put the 3 energies on Ditto. They can be all fire. You can use that GX attack, but it's only going to boost the damage by 30. You're not going to get that extra prize card every time you get a KO, unless you have at least 1 water energy also attached to it. But that's fine because we can attach an Aurora to Ditto and copy ADP's GX attack to its full effect. And that's actually one of the main reasons we have Ditto here in the deck. It's not always extremely useful. There's a reason we only run 1. Primarily, it's for the ADP matchup. I've been kind of theorizing some other matchups that it might be good with. Because, again, things like Eternatus, it doesn't help with. Things like Centiskorch, it can help with. But primarily, it's probably not what you're going to be doing against Centiskorch. It's just kind of there if you need it. And the 320 HP is actually very decent. But for the most part, Ditto V is the star of the show. It's what makes this deck over the top. So we're going to go through and we're going to take a look at some of the other attacking Pokemon. The reasons we have them in the deck is for their attacks. So we're going to start off with Dubwool. Dubwool is honestly one of my favorite cards of all time. So he's got 210 HP, but he has the ability Soft Wool, so it takes 30 less damage from attacks. So technically you have to hit this thing for 240 to KO it. Zacian's not doing that, at least not without some damage modification. But however, we are running Giant Capes, which adds 50 HP. That brings this guy up to 260, plus 30 from its ability. They have to hit this thing for 290 to KO this thing. Absolutely ridiculous. And then it has the attack Revenge Blast. 120, this attack does 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. In the late game, this thing can literally do up to 270 damage. With just for, you just welder and attach one on, and boom, you're hitting for 270. Absolutely ridiculous. If your opponent has taken 2 prize cards, you are KOing something like Dedenne, Crobat, things like that. So very good to keep in mind. It's just one of our best overall Pokemon that we can honestly utilize in almost any matchup. But specifically, there are some, some matchups that it is especially good against. But Dubwool is one of those things where we can always use it. It's one of those things we can safely put on our bench as well. And Double V is absolutely busted. Of course, retreat cost of 2 because we are running Air Balloons. So a lot of our Pokemon have at least a retreat cost of 2. Next up, for our attacking Pokemon, we are running 1 Galarian Sirfetch'd V and 1 Ryperior. You might be wondering, why are you running 2 fighting-type Pokemon? The reason for that is because E-Turn right now is probably one of the most played and one of the most dominant decks in the format right now, as well as Pikarum. So I think that those 2 decks warrant us to run 1 extra fighting-type Pokemon. And they both have their own merits in certain ways, so we are running 1 of each. And I think that is also appropriate. Galarian Sirfetch'd V, so the attack, your Meteor Smash 200 for fighting, and a colorless. but you cannot use that attack next turn. So we are one-hit KOing E-turn for 3 energies. The problem is you need 2 Auroras on Galarian Sirfetch'd V, which is sometimes a little bit tricky to do, but we do have this ability, Resolute Spear, so once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to your active spot, you may move any amount of fighting energy from your other Pokemon to this one. Now, Aurora energy counts as any type of energy when it's placed on one of your Pokemon. So yes, we can move Aurora energies from our other Pokemon to Galarian Sirfetch'd V. Makes it much, much more playable. In fact, it's the only reason it's playable in this deck, so it's a very good option, and can be one of those one-turn setups for, KO and E-turn VMAX. Next up, we have Ryperior V. Ryperior V is, it's good in certain ways. Personally, I would say that Sirfetch'd V is better for sort of getting KOs. On things like Eternatus VMAX, all of those like electric decks, and things like that, like Peak Rum and whatnot. So Galarian Sirfetch'd V is, for the most part, a better attacker. Ryperior is useful because it has 20 more HP, but it also has a nice first attack there, which is a little bit of a support attack. So Ryperior V, 230 HP with Cape, that's 280. So again, E-turn's not even KOing it. It will with the Zigzagoon Ping, I know. But for the most part, 280 is pretty hard to KO this thing if you get the Cape on it. That first attack, Drill Run, so for 1 Aurora energy technically, and 2 colorless, you do 80 damage, but you discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This is very good. If you can set this up like turn 1 against E-turn and you just get like an early boss, then you practically win the game, because it's a nice attack that you're hitting for 160 technically against E-turn, and you're discarding an energy from it, right? So very good attack. The second one, it's very similar to Sirfetch'd, 210. You can't use the attack during your next turn. But it takes, an Aurora and then 3 colorless. So you cannot set this up in one turn. But, it's not terrible because you do have a large amount of HP. And it's one of those things where you can discard it, slowly set up a Ditto on the bench, and then transform when you have the energy cost and whatnot. So again, these two are very good options. And like I said, with E-turn and Peak Run being so good right now in the format, I think running 2 fighting type attackers in the deck is appropriate. Now, we are running a Heatran-GX. This is one of our Pokemon that isn't a V Pokemon, but it is still a very, very good card in the deck. Now, you'll notice most of these are 2-prize Pokemon. This is because we want to force our opponent, to take 3 KOs in order to win, where most of the time, or a lot of the time, we only have to KO 2, right? So that's kind of the idea behind it. Heatran-GX, we really only run it for its GX attack because, of course, we have a spot in our deck for a GX attack. Of course, unless we're copying a GX attack with Ditto VMAX, we don't have any GX attacks in our deck right now. Heatran-GX is most likely, in my opinion, the best GX move that we could be using. We could run Reshi in the list, but overall, I think keeping it down to a primarily 2-prize archetype makes this deck a little bit more playable. Heatran-GX, you can move. It's similar to Sirfetch'd, where when you switch it to the active spot, you can move as many fire energies as you want from your other Pokemon to it. And then Hotburn GX, you do 50 damage times that amount of energy. So again, you have that potential to do some massive one-hit KOs with Heatran-GX. It's definitely worth running. Next up, we have Talonflame V. In this deck, it's absolutely insane. Fast Flight is really good. So if you go first, you can use this attack during your first turn. But either way, you discard your hand and draw 6 cards for 1 colorless. Actually really good if you don't get a good starting hand. Now that second attack there, Bright Wings, 2 fire and a colorless, which is fine because, of course, we're running fire energy. So these fire Pokemon are very easy to set up as compared to our other ones. We don't need Aurora. You discard an energy from this Pokemon, but you hit for 160. 160 seems a little bit mediocre, but yes, you are one-shotting Luke Metal. You're one-shotting Zacian. You're one-shotting Zamazenta. It's just very useful. And if you can get this thing off, which you can in one turn, if they don't get Coding Energy, right, off on their first turn going first and you're going second, you better believe that you have a pretty good chance of getting, just a first-turn KO with Talonflame on a Zacian or a Zamazenta or even a Luke Metal. So that's the main reason why we use this card. It's phenomenal against metal decks, and it also has a free retreat cost, which as a pivot, means that we can play this alongside things like Ryperior or Sirfetch'd and technically just need one switch to attack over and over again. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Next up for attacking Pokemon and kind of a support Pokemon, we're running Vikavolt. We run this primarily for Paralyzing Bolt. However, in matchups where Lightning is good against, I guess, some Water-type archetypes, we can, of course, put a second Aurora on this thing and hit for 190. But for the most part, 1 Aurora, 1 colorless, so 1 Aurora, 1 fire on this thing. We get to hit them for 50 and then Item Lock. Now, Item Lock is good for a variety of matchups. I don't know if it's necessarily the best option all the time, but technically, I think that against things like Mad Party, it's honestly your best option. And this deck can struggle with single prize archetypes. And like I said, you can play this this card against things like Decidueye, which you might have a pretty bad matchup against anyway. I mean, you're kind of force them from going into like more than one. Or really, you're gonna, if you get this item lock early, they can only go into one Decidueye, I'm pretty sure, because they only run one Dartrix, and I don't even think they run a Linoon in their deck. And so if you force them not to run, or force them not to be able to play Rare Candy, you know, they might not ever be able to go into a Decidueye, or at least for a very long time, right? So Vikavolt, very good in Mad Party, Decidueye matchups, and overall in Water matchups as well. So a very good Pokemon in the deck as well. And then next up, Milotic, like I mentioned earlier, this thing is primarily just in here for Fire decks. Most Fire Pokemon or tag teams or VMAXs have a retreat cost of 3. And this is really good because Aqua Impact, right, for 1 Aurora, and then you welder 2 onto it, it does 50, or 10 but 50 more for each energy in their attack cost. So, you know, Centiskorch has in a retreat cost of, 50 more for each energy in their retreat cost. Centiskorch has a retreat cost of 3, which means you're doing 150 plus 10, 160, times 2, because weakness, you're hitting for 320. Ding, ding, ding. That's the perfect number. That's why we run Milotic. Very good in a lot of Fire-type matchups. Very easily set up. And then, of course, we have Hypno Splash if we need it in a pinch. Overall, just a very good Pokemon. We are running some support Pokemon in the deck. Like I said, we are running 2 Crobats. It's a V card. Technically, yes, we can use the attack here if we want to. But we're probably not going to do it. It's just good for the draw support. And as well, 2 Dedennes. Just, you know, to dig for that the last minute Aurora energy to finish off some KOs. Things like that. You know, dig for boss, dig for welder. And then we are running Eldegoss V because, of course, we do want to pull those welders back from the discard pile late game or boss's orders. We only run 2 boss, and sometimes boss is pretty important. So discarding one of these at least early game is not bad at all. Middle, late game, we can Eldegoss for game, and that's just incredible. So that's the Pokemon lineup. It's a lot. There's a lot of different reasons why we're running these Pokemon. Sorry if that was a little bit long-winded. We are going to get into the trainer cards. Of course, it's a welder deck, and it's kind of a fast-paced deck. We're only running 10 fire energy, so we run 2 fire crystals. Just to make sure that we're always able to get that welder attachment and that attack off. Consistency reasons, Fire Crystal is definitely very good. You could only run 1 if you wanted to. I like 2. And then we run 4 Pokegear. We're only running 6 supporters in our deck, and they're extremely, extremely useful. So Pokegear is going to be the way that we find those supporter Pokemon, other than taking them out of our discard pile with Eldegoss. Again, another consistency card. And then, of course, we're running tons of different types of Pokemon. We're running, 3, 6, 8... 10. We're running 12 different types of Pokemon, so we are running 4 Pokemon communications. That way we're able to just switch out one Pokemon in our hand with one that we want. Honestly, this is sometimes a better option than Quick Ball. And both of these, I think are important, so we're running 4 of each. They're also good cards that we can burn to play Crobat and draw more cards off of them. 4 switch cards on top of 2 Air Balloon. You know, most of these Pokemon have a retreat cost of 2 at least, except things like Heatran, Vikavolt, Ryperior, so you know, a lot of times they aren't going to be able to air balloon, so you know what, we have a switch just in case. Again, consistency reasons. 6 different switching options, very important. For our stadium, we run 3 Giant Hearth, a deck that's so focused around welder attachments and fast-paced gameplay. Giant Hearth is just the best stadium to play by far, and I think that 3 is definitely appropriate. Very good for thinning out our deck, finding energies, just a really good consistency card. Boss's orders. Now, like I said, this deck, like I said earlier, this deck likes to one-hit KO things that we hit super effective against. Boss's orders is really good because a lot of times our Pokemon's like, well, I'm not going to put this Heatran VMAX in the active spot because you're just going to KO it with Sirfetch'd. And we're like, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and just take that from you. So Boss's orders, very important. It's a card that I believe you definitely need at least 2 in the deck. You can argue 3. Like, I wouldn't even mind taking out a Fire Crystal for a boss, but I think 2 is plenty fine with Eldegoss and the 4 Pokegears that we run in the deck. Welder, I mentioned at the beginning, it's the backbone of the deck, one of the best cards in the entire game right now. When it comes to energy acceleration and drawing cards, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know, I haven't even been clicking on these cards, so I apologize. Pokecom, Quick Ball, Switch. So Welder, if you don't know what Welder is, you attach 2 fire energies from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. And on top of that, you can attach one manually, whether that's Aurora or Fire. So like I said, things with 3 energy in their attack cost are all primarily, able to be set up in 1 turn, excluding Sirfetch'd and Vikavolt. Those cards are going to take 2 turns to set up their 3 energy attacks. 2 Air Balloons, again, a lot of our Pokemon have a retreat cost of 2, so very important. And then Toughness, Cape of Toughness. So good right now in this deck with Turbozation running around. Things like E-Turn, which like to hit for 270. A lot of Pokemon right now are hitting for high numbers, oftentimes above 210, 220 or whatnot. Like this deck might be kind of representing 210 is kind of the primary number in a lot of these VMAXs. But you know what? You put a Toughness Cape on things like Ryperior. You put it on Dubwool. You can even put it on Ditto because it stays on when you transform. This is going to make it so they don't get one-hit KO'd. Like, that's just all it comes down to. And if that's the case, like, if your opponent can't one-hit KO a 2-prizer and you're one-hit KOing their 3-prizer, they are not winning the game, guys. That's just how it comes down to. So 2 Toughness Capes, so good in this deck. Of course, you cannot attach it to Ditto VMAX, but we're only running 1 in the deck for special occasions. So don't worry about that. Now, with the energy lineup, we were running 10 basic fire energies and 4 Aurora energies. We're probably using our Aurora energies for the most part, like all of them in one game, unless maybe we're playing against like a metal deck and we don't necessarily need to. But for the most part, they're very important to the deck, so we're running 4 of them. If we had a card that we could recycle those back into our deck somehow, or put one from our discard pile in our hand, you better believe we would. We just don't have a card like that right now in the format. 10 fire basic energies definitely seems appropriate since we are running 2 fire crystals, 3 hearts, 4 welders. It seems like an appropriate amount. 14 energy for a deck like this seems pretty much perfect in my opinion. Yeah, that's the deck list, guys. It was about 20-minute analysis. We are going to get into some gameplay, so I apologize. This is one of those decks that takes a little bit long to, to kind of explain, I guess, in a sense, if you don't know anything about this list. But you know what? Big shout out to Marco Cifuentes for kind of being one of the first people to show me an archetype like this. And big shout out to Logan McKay, my good friend Logan, for really helping me make this list. He was, we were up late last night, kind of figuring out the best way to play this deck, kind of figuring out the details of it, what Pokemon are good in the deck. I wanted to put Orbeetle V in the deck. He was like, you don't need it. And I was like, come on. He was like, no. And, he was right. But yeah, maybe you try it with Orbeetle V. I don't know. But anyway, guys, that was the deck list analysis. We're going to go ahead and get some gameplay, hopefully, to kind of show off this deck and give you an idea of what it can do. So let's get right into it. All right, let's get into it. Let's see what we might be playing against here with the good old Ditto VMAX. Or not Ditto VMAX, I guess. Just Ditto Box. Ditto Box is the name of the deck. I like the name. I like the name Ditto Box. Sounds fun. Is it accurate? I don't know. Ditto Box, man. Don't question it. We're calling it Ditto Box. We did win the coin flip. You better believe we are going to be going second. All right, we have Dubwool here. It's not a terrible starting option for us. We'll make it work. We can make it work. We're going against E-Turn. That's actually pretty good for us. We honestly actually we might have everything in hand here to get a nice attack off with Ryperior this turn. He's going to ping Dubwool a few times. If he pings me, I think he already pinged me twice, right? So I guess he is getting the KO now if I have Cape on this thing and he max attacks here. It's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. He's running Scoop Up Net, Zigzagoon, E-Turn, which is absolutely wild, bro. I feel like this is 4 months ago when Darkness Ablaze came out. Okay, cool. Very cool, I guess. We are going to... we're going to just do this first and foremost. Thin out the deck just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and pop Gear. Now, if we find Welder here, we don't, of course. Never lucky. We're going to Quick Ball away Fire. Now, here's the predicament, right? We don't really want to discard that Aurora energy. He didn't attach last turn. But the thing is, we don't want to just draw into a dead card next turn because we don't really have anything in our hand to accelerate. I think we might have to Crobat. I think we're going to have to Crobat. We're going to burn Calm just to discard a card from our hand. We're going to grab Crobat again. We just can't discard that Aurora energy. It's just going to be too useful to us. We'll attach a Fire to Dubwool. We're going to play down Crobat, draw 4. Hopefully we don't draw anything like super terrible. This is actually good. There's the Ryperior that we actually needed, which is funny. We're going to just put this down, I think. We're just going to put that thing down. We do have to do Fire in the discard. All right. Looks like we're going to have to pass the turn, unfortunately. I'm kind of wishing I didn't attach that. We could have Ryperior Heavy Rock Artillery next turn. He's going to Scoop Up Zigzagoon again. This guy's just an absolute mad lad. 2 Scoop Up Nets in the first turn here, but no energies. He is going to put a ping on Ryperior. He's definitely afraid of this. And we should have some Dittos in our deck and a Sirfetch'd, so we've prepped for this matchup. We have what we need to win this matchup. Finding Capes would be definitely very good. He's going to Marnie us. That's fine. We did get Ryperior down on the board. Hopefully we have a way to find an Aurora next turn. That Ditto is going on the, Dedenne is going on the bottom of our deck. There's another Aurora and a Cape. Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe we find Welder. And there's a second Zigzagoon. Okay, so now I think I am in range of getting KO'd. I was last turn, actually, anyway. He's going to go into his shiny, like his black and gold E-turn here. Does he have an energy? He's going to play Crobat here, I assume. I assume he's got to have like a way to get Crobat. He's not. Okay, he whiffed energy again. Absolutely gutted. Okay, we are going to put that on Ryperior. We're going to go like this. I think at this point, we just thin more because we do have 2 crystals still in our deck. So we're just going to grab some fires. Increase the chances of us drawing something good. We're going to put the Cape on double just to kind of give it some survivability. I probably shouldn't have done that because I could have drew into, what is it, Air Balloon, which probably would have been good. He's going to Research, so of course he had Research in hand. I assume he's going to get things rolling right now. He shouldn't be able to attack this with this next turn or anything like that, so we might be able to get a drill run off and kind of limit his pace. He does have Hiding Energy now. Okay. We have plenty of outs right now. Like, of course, like if we were to draw a Window Welder and then draw into some Pokemon Search, we could drill run this thing and be in a pretty good spot. He's going to play his 4th Scoop Up Net and his 3rd Goon. So he's put a total of 7 pings down right now on our Pokemon. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Definitely should have caped up Ryperior, probably. That's definitely a misplay. And he will end his turn on Crobat, of course. This is classic E-turn, except he did whiff energy, so I'm kind of laughing on the inside a little bit at him. You fool. How dare you not find Energy Search or Energy Acceleration, or play it for that matter. Do find a Spiritomb here. His bench is now full, and he's only played 2 Crobats. I think that's good news for us. We're not running Stamp in our deck. Stamp would have been pretty cool. What's the top deck here? It's a Talonflame. That's not super ideal at all. I don't think. You know, I don't. Yeah, this is bad for us. This is just straight up bad. We're gonna attach to double, and at least kind of put up a threat of us. And we don't really want to. Do we play it on Talonflame? I don't think we do. Because he might just attach and boss us and KO Ryperior this turn, so we want to have something to attack with next turn if that's the case and hit him for 180. He definitely has boss in hand, or else like I'm just absolutely wild. I will personally guarantee the boss's orders is coming out here in about 0 seconds. He will KO the Ryperior. It's not great for us technically, but in all seriousness, we do have Dittos, and we do still have Sirfetch'd on the board. Yeah, I mean he's gonna KO this double too, which like just isn't great. So, definitely off to a bad start, like 100%. Just very unfortunate. Okay, so we do find Quick Ball here. We're going to attach Aurora just in case we do get that Sirfetch'd play at one point. We're going to Quick Ball away Talonflame. Do we have Crobat again? Yes, we do. Let's see if we can draw into some good stuff here. We do get a Ditto down, so we'll play this. I think that's totally cool. I think that is totally cool. How many switches is he down? He's played 4 scoop ups. I don't know how many. He's down 2 switch too. I mean, I guess I technically like could try to defensively boss him this turn and KO a Crobat, but I don't want to KO a Crobat. He's just gonna go into E-turn. I think we're gonna attach Air Balloon to Crobat. Now, honestly, what I think we do here, and don't quote me on this, I'm going to transform into a Ryperior. I am going to put down, I don't know if we really need this another Ditto, because we do have Sirfetch'd, right? Okay, so I'm going to Quick Ball away Ditto, and I'm going to Dedenne out here. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that we have a way to attack with Ryperior next turn. And we do, I think, maybe. I don't even know, actually, if we have enough fires left in deck. So we should have 2 left in deck. Now, we're going to get KO next turn, but we're just going to go ahead and hit him for 180. Ryperior should be able to finish it off after this. Hit him for exactly 340 next turn. And again, he doesn't have the bench space to set up another E-turn. But he is going to set up a Hoopa, which we don't love. We do have, plenty of Pokemon with abilities, so he's hitting for, yeah, not super ideal. Okay, so there goes the Dubwool. He's going to take 2 prizes. We can still make the comeback here. We're not playing Marnie or Stamp, which would have been very, very nice. Okay, so there's a fire. Okay, so what if I Hearth away Hearth? We do have that other fire, thank goodness. Okay, so now we're going to Welder 2 onto Ryperior. There's the Ditto VMAX. We're going to put a Aurora on Ryperior. We can get rid of Ditto VMAX. It's not going to work out for us at all. So now we can retreat into Ryperior. There's not really much else we can do. So I guess we are going to just go ahead and KO with Drill Run. Sure, we'll discard that. Now we're taking three prize cards here. It's going to be kind of difficult for us to wrap up the game. How many bosses is he down? I think he's just down 1. Hoopa is doing, what is this, 70 damage, which isn't technically good for us. Oh, he actually discarded Hoopa. And my camera also died. All right, I apologize for the dead camera right now. I'm frozen. Look at my face. EOS webcam utility. Rest in peace. All right, we're going to just drag that off. Going no camera, guys. We're going no camera right now. We're making the comeback. He discarded that Hoopa. I don't know about that. That seems a little bit weird. He is probably going to try to set up this tomb here, but we're just a couple... oh, he discarded the Crobats as well. So that's not good for us. Tomb is doing a little bit of damage. Oh, he benched E-turn. That's actually wild. Except we need a crystal. We haven't found a crystal yet. We're all out of energies. Which is not very good. He is going to Building Spite. He's going to attack us with Spiritomb this turn. I don't really love that. At all. To be fair. I guess we can go into Heatran switch and attack this thing. He's going to boss his orders up to Dedenne. Which actually, was that a good play? I don't know why he did that, to be honest with you. He might have another boss in hand, which is probably why he did it. We're just going to go into Ryperior. Hope that he doesn't have boss, and we're just going to go ahead and drill run this guy. Again, if he has boss energy and he sets up with Hoopa here and a switching card, then we lose, to be honest. And he might, actually. That's probably why he did that last play. We're just going to give him the heart emoji. We're just going to say, you know what? If you got that in hand, my man, congratulations to you. That is absolutely ridiculous. If not, then we win, I think. So, or actually, yeah. Okay. Was that another? He played a 4th goon here. Wow. 4 nets, 4 goons. All right. He's going to Building Spite here. I think we're chilling. I don't think he has what it takes. He's going to research here, so no boss. And we will be winning this game. So very good. I mean, I think we're winning unless he has Stamp or some crazy, like something absolutely wild like that, right? But yeah, no, I think we win here. I think we win here. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, awesome. Very good game, and you guys can kind of see here by just the the matchup spread. Like Ryperior is very good in this matchup. We didn't actually utilize Sirfetch'd because we kind of got off to a bad start. But yeah, man, very good deck, and it has matchups against almost anything right now in the game. You have a good deck. I'm gonna give him the heart. That's going to be it, guys. Hitting for 420. YOLO. Let's get out of here. Yeah, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry my camera turned off. It's kind of a weird send-off here. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck list. It's something different, something unique. It's something cool, at least. Shout out to Logan for helping me build the deck list. Shout out to Marcos Cifuentes for pioneering this deck list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to all of my channel members. You guys are the reason we're still able to make content. You guys are absolutely incredible. And I'm going to leave you guys off with the fact that Chill Series Season 3 is coming next Wednesday, March 3rd, I believe it is. We have 200 Shining Fates packs in this tournament's prize pool. 100% free entry. Just, guys, come on, come play, have fun Wednesday night, have a chance to win dozens and dozens of Shining Fates packs for free. So yeah, we're gonna bounce out here. Shout out to Card Cavern TCGs. Use code Chill TCG for 5% off your entire order. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Click subscribe, click like. Peace out.